All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about the supply of Bitcoin. And then on eCampus, there's a file, BTC Supply, and this is a notebook file. So in this goes over all the math. You don't need to know all of the math and the derivations. The math is a little bit complex, but being able to understand the concepts is important. So this comes from this paper here, or this blog post. So owner's blog. So this goes over the math and the derivations. But again, you don't need to know how to derive all the ODEs. We just need to know the concept behind it and the intuition. So we just need to know the intuition behind this. So we'll go over here to supply. So we have a model for the inflation rate, for the curvature, and then for the supply. So the first derivative is the inflation rate, and that makes sense. That would be the rate. The first derivative would be the rate of supply, or of an increase or decrease. So that would be the inflation. Then we have a class of Bitcoin supply model. Supply of BTC is a function of time, block height, or any variable signifying progress. Inflation is a positive change in supply, and deflation is a negative change in supply. Inflation rate is the first derivative. Inflation curvature is the second. We don't use inflation curvature in the Bitcoin valuation using scarcity model, but I did go ahead and include the code for it in the attributes. So the variable is block height, inflation rate, inflation decrease rate, and milestone number. So what we're saying is for every 210,000 new blocks created, the number of Bitcoin created per block would be 50, and then this is going to decrease by half with every new increase of 210,000. So in this, we define the initialization. So we're just initializing all of it. And then to calculate the supply, I already keyed in the formula. This is the formula right here. So supply of H, supply of H, S of H, where H is equal to block height. I don't see H up here. Maybe I forgot to type that, but you'll see it on the article or on the blog. Then the inflation rate would be the first derivative, which is this number here, or S prime of H. So S prime would be the first derivative. This is inflation. Then the second, which would be inflation curvature. Again, we don't use that for this model, but we do use the inflation rate. We do use the supply. So I wouldn't recommend trying to copy all of this. I would just save the notebook file on eCampus. Whenever you do this, here we graphed the inflation rate. So this is the first derivative of inflation. So the inflation rate given block height. And each X is a halving. So with each X, that's whenever the halving takes place. So the inflation rate gets cut in half. So it starts at 50, then gets cut down to 25, gets cut down to 12.5, and so on. And there's another halving that's expected to take place soon, or in the next couple weeks. So this is a plot of the inflation rate given block height, and this is a plot of the Bitcoin supply. And then to calculate this, I'm using the Bitcoin supply model. I'm giving it my block height. Everything else is already there. So the only thing that's changing is block height. I already have the parameter inflation rate already has a default of 50, which is what it is. Inflation decrease rate already has a default of 0.5, which is what it is. And the milestone numbers already has a default rate of 210,000, which is what it is. So the only thing you have to give it is block height. Now I just created an array of that goes in increments of sorry, I got a cough. The height is an array that goes in increments of 10,000. So it goes from 0 to close to 21 million. And then for this, as you can see, if you take the limit of block height, so as the block height goes to infinity, so people are just, if it just keeps being recreated and created and created, and just continuously, infinitely many times, the supply of Bitcoin will yield to 21 million. It cannot exceed this, and this is shown in the model up here. And again, you don't need to know how to replicate all of this or how to derive it. In in our notebook file for the project. In the next video, we're just going to copy and paste this class, so then we can use it to calculate our own stock to flow. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we actually start the model or the regression.